Never once did my players hear me mention winning, but always, every day at practice and the last thing almost before the tip-off of every game we played, they would hear me say, when the game is over, I want your head up. And you're the only one that will really know whether you've done the things you should have done. If you do that, the score won't really matter, but I really have a feeling that more often than not, the score will also be to your liking.
Who was John Wooden but a humble champion whose uncommon coaching techniques build one of college basketball's most dominant dynasty?
Coach Wooden used the vehicle of basketball to teach life.
His mission in life was to make everyone else better, and that's what Coach Wooden did.
A poetic teacher who taught his players, students, friends, and more the right way to play the greatest game we all must learn how to play, the game of life.
If a person just understood and followed the pyramid of success, their life would be good.
His pyramid, it's sort of a formula to go by for winning, but it's really about living your life.
A successful philosopher whose influence transcended the game he coached and impacted the lives of thousands across the globe. He was the man they call Coach.
Coach Wooden, he loved the term teacher. He liked to be labeled, I'm a teacher.
He taught life lessons through sports, through those victories, through the teamwork, through the competitiveness that you have, and you do the best you can.
Now, Don Yeager, 9-time New York Times bestseller, whose books have inspired people around the world to higher levels of greatness, veteran associate editor of Sports Illustrated magazine, biographer and close friend of Coach John Wooden, will share with you Coach Wooden's timeless principles and how you can apply their power to your life today. Get ready to experience the Wooden Effect.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us. On behalf of myself, Success Academy, and the Wooden family who helped us make this presentation possible, I'd like to congratulate you on the decision you've made to learn more about Coach John Wooden, the impact he's had on so many people, and the actionable lessons he's about to bring into your life. If you are feeling overwhelmed by the seemingly impossible to-do lists that dominate your life and distract you from the things that are most important, things like your family, your personal fulfillment, your health, and more, then stick around until the end of today's presentation, because Coach will offer you a unique perspective on holistic success and why the way you define success can actually make or break you. If you look at the world around you today and see clearly the ever-growing need for greater integrity, more sincerity, individual self-control, increased loyalty, more cooperation, you aren't wrong. These traits are becoming more and more rare. And if you pay careful attention to what Coach teaches you here today, you'll see how he used these basic principles that led his teams to such great success. And you'll even have your own aha moment about applying these principles to your own life today. If you are a parent, ask yourself, when was the last time your kids heard a story in the media about friendship, about self-sacrifice, about hard work? If you are worried, like most parents today, about the absence of those timeless values, then please, please, please make sure that you watch this presentation in its entirety. As a matter of fact, if you are at home watching right now, go ahead and get your family or friends to join you. Let's have a digital fireside chat together. Because the things that we're going to be discussing here today, they aren't just bits of information or random stories. These are special principles taught by a humble man that, when applied, can build for you a solid foundation of security for whatever life throws your way. And if you stay until the very end, you'll receive a very special invitation along with free gifts just for taking action on what you are going to learn here today. Over the next hour, we're going to celebrate the life and legacy of Coach Wooden by diving into the success principles he taught. The great teacher behind 10 NCAA national championships, to many the most successful and influential coach of all time, the creator of the greatest dynasty in the history of college sports. You'll learn about the amazing ability he had to build personal, life-changing relationships and lead others. And you'll discover how to build these same relationships yourself, even if you consider yourself an introvert, like Coach did. You'll discover the tools and mindset he used to teach his teams to overcome adversity and achieve their goals consistently and without flash. You'll see firsthand how he embraced his surroundings, made the most of them, and built a successful life and legacy like no other.
Today is the only day that really matters. It's absolutely the only day that matters. Yesterday's gone. Nothing that happened yesterday will ever change. Tomorrow can be affected only by what you do today. If you permit yourself to get too engrossed or concerned in regard to the past or what's happened in the past, it's going to affect what's going to happen in the future. I think it's like if you permit praise, earned or unearned, or criticism, deserved or undeserved, if you let either one of them affect you in any way, it's going to affect you only one way, in my opinion, that's adversely. Either praise or criticism can get you either way. You've got to accept both, all of it in a sense with a grain of salt. Learn from it, and then forget it. Always be learning from it.
His lessons go over any boundaries, whether it was basketball, football, or baseball, or any sport.
Being prepared, that was the story of Coach Wooden's life, in my opinion, because he was prepared for his basketball team, but he prepared himself to live every day and tried to teach his players to be prepared for life.
If we all really worked on ourselves as much as we criticize others or compare ourselves to others, wow, I think that the world would be a vastly different place.
Coach Wooden is someone that has had a huge impact on me from a distance, as well as up close in those moments we had a chance to spend together.
He helped shape my personality, my joy, my passion for basketball. So, the life that he lived was one that affected so many people. He was somebody to emulate, and he was an incredible role model for me.
I didn't know he was famous. It was always just Daddy. I think I probably kind of realized it when he received the Medal of Freedom from President Bush, and I thought, my gosh, he really is well known, because he was always the same.
Coach said, even when I wasn't winning games at UCLA, in the beginning, he said, I felt successful because I knew I was doing my best, and my players were doing their best.
It's always nice to be able to point back and say, okay, I might not be getting it right, but here's a guy that did. And if you can pattern your life after somebody like that, I think you're heading in the right direction.
If you have aspirations for more than what you are currently living, this lesson will be critical. And today, we'll also uncover the Wooden effect. The reason why this one man, whose ideas are revered by so many, was able to rise from the humblest beginnings to become one of the greatest coaches and mentors of all time. How he inspired others to do the same. You'll also learn how you can use the very same principles Coach Wooden used to build your championship life, to turn the impossible into the possible, to create success at home with your family, a team that works together to accomplish more, to attract wealth, better relationships, to build your own legacy. Whatever your goals in life are, Coach Wooden's principles of success and his step-by-step path to get there can help you and those around you. There's a reason he's been called a national treasure. His reach and impact has spread far beyond the basketball court to influence the lives of many. Together, these principles form what he called his pyramid of success, a path to competitive greatness that helps you enjoy and practice the journey of making yourself better. In a world where so much of the advice we receive focuses only on the end result, the outcome of our goals and our dreams, we're all starving for the advice of a man who can show us not only how to take the steps we need to get there, but how to truly enjoy the journey. Now, if you've never read the book on mentorship I wrote with Coach or any of Wooden's other bestsellers, you may be surprised. Because in the world we live in today, we expect our mentors and our motivators, the very people we look up to have a certain style and attitude that Wooden will seem to lack. You're about to see and hear from a Stoic philosopher, a man who doesn't outwardly express that winning drive our coaches of today seem to have. If you've been searching for a mentor, someone you could look up to, someone who valued ethics, team spirit, hard work, and humble discipline, then you've come to the right place. You'll find the Wooden effect, his approach and his impact on the lives of so many to be radically different, perhaps old school, and something that few still understand how to embrace. You'll start to see a very common sense approach to success to achieve what he called competitive greatness. You're about to meet a man seemingly more suited to be the poet laureate than a master motivator, mentor, and teacher of champions. And while that seems strange to say now, I guarantee our time here together will make complete sense when you're finished. So I invite you to join me right now and learn more about Coach Wooden, his philosophy, how others have used it successfully, and how you can apply it. I'd like to start our workshop, a sort of symposium on how to create championship caliber success, with a brief introduction to a few of the people I've invited to join us. More than 40 of today's greatest achievers have joined us for this event. They've all sat down and taken their time to share the impact Coach Wooden had on their lives with you. What we're going to accomplish today is about way more than basketball. It's about more than championships and athletics. It's about more than winning. If you stay with us until the very end, you'll learn how to get to what's next in life, how to build a path for your future and happily follow it. Listen closely, first as I introduce you to the men and women who knew Coach, learned from him, and used many of the lessons they are about to share with you to build their championship lives. Pay attention, because in just a few minutes, you're going to be using the insights these super achievers share to create one of these for yourself. This is my personal journal of Woodenisms. Coach had one just like it, and he used it to organize his thoughts and guide his life. Today, as you watch and listen with me, you'll create one too, using it to apply Wooden's success principles in any area of your life. This is also where the email you received yesterday, containing some of my favorite memos from Coach Wooden's own files, will come into play. But more on this in a minute. Let's get started by discovering what happens when you meet Coach Wooden and bring his lessons into your life.
You know, I think with Coach Wooden, you don't meet him, you experience him. He's bigger than life. What you hear is his teachings, but what you see, even above his teachings, kind of almost underlining it, is his life.
I chose John Wooden to be an example and a mentor, not because he won 10 championships or because he was an extraordinary achiever, but because of how he did all of that. This is what I think makes John Wooden truly special. The most consecutive winning coach in history was a sports legend, but never for mentoring his players about winning. Instead, he focused on mentoring them on character and values.
He became my answer book about how to be a better leader and how to be a better coach, and always would remind me that, Sue, your best is good enough. And it gave me real peace in my heart.
I left my interactions with him thinking more of him as a teacher and a philosopher than as a basketball coach. He would always weave life into basketball. He's probably one of the most, if not the most interesting people I've ever met.
He was totally amazed that he was still popular. I think he became more famous, after teaching and coaching because of his pyramid of success.
I got the chance to meet him after I was in college. It was a tremendous honor.
He was a person of wisdom. If you wanted to sit down with him, you could ask him, he could talk about almost anything. Well-educated man.
When you think of John Wooden, you think of a lot of different things. You think about not just the success he had coaching at UCLA, but the impact that he's had on so many lives.
Never been a coach like Coach Wooden, never will be one like him again.
Basketball was very important to John Wooden. It wasn't the most important. I think he felt that was part of his job, I am a teacher, I am an educator. It is my job to get my point across, and that if you do it this way, you're going to be successful in sports and in life.
I think he lived the life he believed in.
And when he was coaching, he did the best job he possibly could.
If you're building a business or building a team or any sport, it really is about principles and character and what are the foundational things that really help you to have a meaningful life, help you to have a successful life. How do you define that? How do you hold on to that? And the Pyramid of Success has provided that foundation.
He was just so humble and straightforward because he wasn't about self-promotion. He wasn't about self-hype. He wanted to do his job and do it as best as he could. But after that, he was about it. He cared for people, for all people.
I don't know of anybody that expressed it better or put it to work any better than he did. And then to get the results he got, it just shows you if you do it right, you can still win, you can still be the best.
What you've just seen are the results of individuals who followed a very specific path to success, a journey to competitive greatness that unlocks your true potential in any area of life. Coach Wooden was the mentor who made that path possible for those you just heard from, and he could make it possible for you. In many ways, Wooden was the perfect mentor. That, in fact, was the topic of my book with Wooden, A Game Plan for Life. While we worked on that book, Wooden said to me, "There is nothing you know that you haven't learned from someone else." The quote I just shared with you was from Wooden's father, his first mentor. It was part of a collection Wooden had, a journal of Woodenisms, as a few of his students called them. All of the advice he collected, organized and stored, pages upon pages of memos, notes, quotes, poems, and more. I asked the Success Academy team to send a few of his memos to you in your email inbox yesterday. Right now, we're going to organize these memos, add to them, and create a journal you'll use to guide you through each day. Make the most of all your opportunities, overcome adversity, and, as Coach would say, make each day your masterpiece. You see, I kept my own Wooden-style journal, filled with reflections, ideas, musings, and more. And as part of our exercise today, I'd like you to start doing the same. Trust me for a minute and get out a piece of paper you can use to start this. You can open a document on your computer, start typing an email to yourself, anything to write with and record your thoughts. This is an important part of embracing Wooden's ideas and bringing them into your life. At the end, after you follow through all the exercises, you'll see how it all connects together, and you'll have your big aha moment. We're about to watch Wooden explain his Pyramid of Success, a philosophy he developed in the 1930s and lived by his entire life. As we watch, I want you to think about how Wooden's definition of success, in particular, differs from your own. This is your starting point, so make note of it right now. Open your journal, document, or write on a piece of paper right now. Ask yourself, what is your personal definition of success? Take a few minutes right now to think about success. Do you define success as wealth, accomplishments, winning? Have you been wrong about success in the past? Have you achieved something only to feel empty inside, suddenly realizing that you were chasing someone else's version of success? Knowing what success isn't is just as important as knowing what it is. When you say, "I want to be successful," what do you mean? Write your answer down right now. We're going to reflect on this in just a few minutes after you've heard Wooden speak. Do you have it? Keep thinking about your definition of success and keep writing as I introduce this next clip. This is a recording of Wooden introducing his definition of success. As you listen, take notes in your journal. Ask yourself and write this question down now. How are we all equal? Don't worry about the meaning yet. Just write it down. How are we all equal? Now, leave some space and under that question write this. Why must we have faith? Write it down right now. So on your piece of paper or in your journal, you should have three things. First, your definition of success. What does it mean to you? Second, how are we all equal? Just the question, ready to be answered. And third, why must we have faith? Now that you're prepared, listen to what Coach Wooden has to say, in his own words, about his definition of success. As you listen, answer the questions you just wrote. I'll be back to reflect and learn with you in just a moment.
I found parents that if their youngster didn't receive an A or a B in my English classes, they would make the youngster or the teacher feel that they had failed. Now, the good Lord in his infinite wisdom didn't create us equal as far as intelligence is concerned any more than we're equal as far as size or appearance. And not everybody could earn an A or B, and I'm sure I had youngsters that did not earn an A or B that did very well. It was just as well as some others that might have earned an A or B. But I didn't like parents judging that way. Now, I know how alumni and sports writers and so on judge athletic teams. They use the percentage method. If you win them all, you're considered to be reasonably successful in some cases. I know I had the good fortune to have a number of teams that did win them all. But there were alumnus that felt we didn't win every game by the margin that they had predicted. And that was true in the 1930s when I started on this pyramid of success. But I wanted to come up with a definition of success. I didn't like Mr. Webster's indication that it was the accumulation of material possessions or the attainment of a position of power or prestige. I wanted something different from that, and I thought about it a lot, and there were a number of things that helped me bring this about. One was my dad. My dad tried to teach me and my three brothers on the farm that you should never try to be better than someone else, always be learning from others, but you should never cease trying to be the best you could be. That's under your control, and the other isn't. And I also had a professor that I recalled that had the class talk about success, and I remember a bit of that discussion. And then I ran across a simple verse that said, "At God's footstool to confess, a poor soul knelt and bowed his head. I failed," he cried. "The Master said, thou didst thy best. That is success." I like that. And from those, I coined my own definition. In 1934, I defined success as peace of mind attained only through self-satisfaction in knowing you made the effort to do the best of which you're capable. No one will know that but you. You can fool everybody else, but you can't fool yourself.
Let's reflect on the insight Coach just shared with us. Let's get started with the note I had you start before we listened to Coach speak. I want to reflect on the questions I had you write down in your journal. We should have three. The first, your definition of success, what you wrote before you listened to Coach. Second, how are we all equal? And third, why must we have faith? Let's talk about success. How is Coach's definition of success different from yours? Remember, his definition was, success is peace of mind attained only through self-satisfaction in knowing you made the effort to do the best of which you're capable. What did you define success as before we started? Was it the amount of money in your bank account? Your wealth? How much could you win? If you're a coach, was it the number of championships you could put under your belt? In your career, was it the climb of the ladder everyone hopes to accomplish? However you define success now, how does it differ from Wooden's perspective? How would your life be different if you stopped viewing success in the purely material terms you think about it as now? The measure being something like money in your bank account, and instead you measured success in Wooden's terms as the best you are capable of being. Just imagine that for a moment. Are you seeing yourself in a more positive light? Do you feel more free to do what you know is right, what you want to be doing? If you've ever struggled with feelings of being trapped under a glass ceiling, of being forced to live someone else's life, maybe it's time to reassess what your definition of success is. Try Coach's definition for a change, just for a minute. See how it feels to imagine yourself living that version of success. Better, right? Not only will you feel better about what you have to do when you adopt this approach, you'll also one day notice better results, measured in material wealth or accomplishments. Cut to that second question I asked you. What does everyone have in common? How are we all equal? Wooden's answer?
We may not be equal in ability. We may not be equal in opportunity. The conditions under which we work may not be the same, but we're all equal, absolutely equal, as having the opportunity to make the most of what we have under the conditions that exist for us.
Tie that concept to the faith question I asked. Wooden's answer?
And you must have faith that things are going to work out as they should. Too often, we expect things to work out just the way we want them to.
And what do you have? You end up with an approach to success that, in Wooden's words, guarantees you will be successful and feel successful. Here's what he said.
I believe again that you and I are the ones who determine our own success. It's up to us. It's what we do. And we're never going to fail as long as we don't start blaming others for our mistakes.
The real question to ask yourself here, and it is something I encourage you to write down in your journal right now. What would it feel like to never worry about being successful again? How would you feel if you woke up every morning knowing that today could be a masterpiece day? That you would do everything in your power to make today the best day it could? If you could focus 100% of your effort on the things that you can control and let all of the outside influences that sidetrack you fade away in the distance, this is Coach Wooden's approach to success. It's the core of what he taught. Make each day your masterpiece by focusing on doing the best that you can. You'll do the best that you can at home, with your family, in relationships, raising your kids, all of the important things in life that stress us, but no one has the answer to. You can do the best you can at work, in your career, in a business, with friends. If you're a coach, with your team. If you're on a team, with them. Your best. You can take Coach's pyramid of success and teach it to your children, to your family, to your coworkers. At home, it will help everyone succeed. It will help everyone, no matter how old or young, create masterpiece days that turn into masterpiece months, years, and then lives. At work, you can take on incredible goals for yourself and the team of your coworkers you work with. You see, Coach's definition of success is applicable in so many areas of your life. It's not just about basketball. It's not just about winning. It's not about building a better team. It's about making masterpiece days, weeks, months, and years for you, your career, your family, and your relationships. It's about learning the age-old principles of success, character, perseverance, and more that you can teach yourself and those around you. Let me tell you, the feeling is incredible. Think about how Coach's message was able to get each of the men and women you're about to hear from where they are today. And reflect on the challenges in your life and how Coach's message of redefining success can help you overcome them.
Make each day your masterpiece. Just try your best to improve a little each day. Do the best you can each day. Don't expect tremendous improvement. You're not going to. You may make just a little that day, but the next day it's a little more, and the next day it's a little more. And eventually you're going to make considerable progress, but don't think you can skip a day because you can't make it up. If you can work twice as hard the next day, that shows you could have worked twice as hard the day before. So make each day your masterpiece.
Far too many people think that there's one little narrow aspect of all of this stuff and all of John Wooden that make the difference. It's just like the coach himself. It's the totality of him. He gave us confidence. He made us believe that anything was possible.
I had the biggest aha moment of my life, and that was that I wasn't trying to be my best. I was trying to be someone else's best.
Learning to live with failure or adversity, you only get through it by accepting the definition of everything I could do, I did. And I did it as hard as I could and as well as I could. And when you can say that about a journey or an effort made, you can have a peace. Even if everybody around you can't, and they can't comprehend or they can't understand, you can say, I accept the outcome because I did everything I could.
To me, this is a profound concept, maybe the most important one can ever realize throughout their life. All you have to do at the end of the day is ask yourself, did I do the best of what I was capable? It's all you need to do to reach your potential, live a fulfilling life, and achieve anything that you can conceive.
Getting to what's next in life is what we're all trying to do. In your journal right now, you should have several reflections on success, what success is to you. But when you think about it, no matter how you define it, the goals we use as a benchmark for our success are the what's next in life moments that keep us getting up every day, going to work, and moving forward. Without goals for your day, your week, your month, you're moving nowhere. And what we're always doing is looking for a way to make these goals easier to achieve. Everywhere you look, there's a new method that's supposed to make everything easier. Write down a few of your goals right now, success outcomes in your journal. If you've participated in Success Academy exercises before, you may already have a good idea of what your goals are. Ask yourself what you want to achieve tomorrow, this week, this month, this year, and beyond. Quickly think about it. Pick 3 goals for just this year, and 3 for the next 10. I know this is a common exercise if you've participated in events like this before, but what we're about to do with these goals and your journal will be completely different, because you're going to learn to use Coach Wooden's pyramid to make the pursuit of these goals easier to achieve than ever before. Write them down now. As you listen to the man Bill Walton called the master of getting what's next in life, that's Coach Wooden, and he's about to show you what's next for each of your goals. This is his pyramid of success.
It took me over 14 years to develop the pyramid of success. I built it block by block, thinking. I discarded ideas. I kept some and moved them different positions within the structure, but it's rather strange that the first 2 blocks that I selected were the cornerstones. And if any structure is to have any strength and solidity, it must have a strong foundation, and of course the cornerstones anchor the foundation. And industriousness and enthusiasm were the first 2 blocks I selected, and I never changed. I think they're very important. You have to work hard. You can't be looking for the shortcut, the easy way, the trick. You might get by for a while, but I don't think you develop your talents when you're doing that. And you have to love what you're doing. So I never changed those.
As you can see, the pyramid is all about fundamental skills, necessities starting at the bottom that our highest aspirations and goals depend on. Think about the fundamentals now for your goals. Write them down in your journal. As you do, take a journey back with a few of Coach Wooden's players and hear about the fundamentals he taught on the very first day of practice. Listen, watch, and learn as you consider what the first step really is when moving toward your goals in life. Where does the path begin? For basketball, and remember, basketball as Coach Wooden taught it was really just a metaphor for life. It started with one fundamental everyone else skipped over.
A couple of weeks before practice would start, I'd call them together again and stress again why they're there. For academic reasons, that must be number 1. But I'd stress other things about politeness and courtesy and how they treat everybody else and so on. And then I'd say, now, young man, I'm going to show you something else. I'm going to show you how to put on your shoes and socks. Oh, okay, here it comes again. But I'd found out many years before that blisters of your feet surely come around the little toe area and the heel area. Yeah, and they're usually caused by wrinkles in the socks or shoes that don't fit properly. So I showed them how to put on their socks. I'd take mine, put them so there'd be no wrinkles around the little toe, and pull it up, and then tell them how to open the shoe and lace it tightly. And I found out that most players had wore shoes that were maybe a size, or at least a half size larger than they should. I didn't want any slipping.
So Coach walked in, he looked at us all, and he said, "Gentlemen, we will begin by learning how to tie our shoes." I could see people kind of stifling a smirk, a smile, a giggle. And then he continued. And he said, let's start with our socks.
I'm watching this and I'm saying, is he serious? That was step 1. That's the first thing he did. If he didn't do that and someone got blisters, it's hard to evaluate somebody sitting on the sidelines.
Putting the shoes and socks on became the ultimate metaphor for what he was trying to do. which was to build the foundation. And in athletics, it all starts with the feet. And it starts with the equipment and the things that are in and under your control. That was our equipment, our physical well-being, our health, our nutrition, our mindset, our spirit, everything. It was all about us. And if ourselves were ready, everything else would just fall into place.
He was so simple, yet so profound. I mean, he simplified everything so that you could do it.
It doesn't matter what religion you're from, what race background you're from, what socioeconomic background you come from, because we all start out by putting our socks and shoes on the exact same way. Just like everything else, there's a practical side to what Coach Wooden taught. He didn't want his players to have blisters, but there was always a deeper side, and that was that these young men had to be a unit. And it started with that they all put on their socks and shoes the exact same way.
Consider how simple the act of tying your shoes really is for an All-American basketball player. You, as one of the best in the nation and around the world, show up for practice expecting an enlightening experience, a new perspective on the sport you love and know so well. You walk onto the court on your first day of practice, high expectations. And what does the coach do to rally the team? He gives an in-depth seminar on the art of tying your shoes. Think about that. Coach Wooden didn't teach his players how to shoot on day one. He taught them how to tie their shoes. Here's a question I need you to really dig deep to think about. Are you trying to shoot well with your shoelaces still undone? If you're chasing the next big productivity habit or constantly checking social media for the latest 10 hot tips for whatever, chances are that you're missing the fundamentals. If Coach Wooden thought that teaching the greatest basketball players in the country how to tie their shoes was the most important thing to do, then what does that mean for you and I? Where do we stand? Do we struggle to achieve greatness because we've neglected the small, simple, important things in life? I think so. Here's a question for your journal, and you may want to spend more than today thinking about this. What tying your shoes fundamental moments are missing from your life? When was the last time you read a book with your child? When did you last say thank you to a coworker and really mean it? When was the last time you stepped outside and took a walk around the block for your health? If you struggle to achieve the results you desire, chances are it's because you're missing the fundamentals. The small 5-minute exercises that make all the difference in the world, like tying your shoes before a game. No matter what you're going through, any background, any challenge, at work, at home, with your family, with the kids, with your spouse, what fundamentals can you apply from the lesson of tying your shoes? Fundamentals that you are missing right now that can help you create a better team. As you consider this, take notes and join me as we go deeper into Coach Wooden's pyramid of success, a process that builds upon the fundamentals of life and leads you to competitive greatness.
Between those cornerstones, I selected eventually blocks that included others. I took friendship, loyalty, and cooperation. So those made up the foundation, but I worked up with self-control and alertness and initiative and intentness and being conditioned, not just physically, but mentally and morally, and having the skills and being able to execute not only properly, quickly, and being considerate of others, having team spirit. These things will give you poise, and that'll permit you to be yourself, so you won't be under pressure. And you have to have confidence, and you can't have confidence unless you're prepared. Failure prepared is preparing to fail. And then these will make you competitive. And the real competitor enjoys it when it's difficult. The poor competitor will tie up in difficult situations. The good competitor enjoys it more and will be at their best. And those are the blocks. And then leading up to the apex, on when I place success according to my definition, on one side I had patience, and the other side I have faith. We must have patience. Good things take time and should. We may not want them to, but that's the way it is. And we must have faith. I believe we all need faith that things will turn out as they should, providing, of course, we do what we should.
If you're only thinking about winning, the journey that it takes to get you in a position to win can be missing, because you're just looking at the end prize. The journey, the day-to-day grind, the daily grind that it takes to become a winner is what you focus on more. You focus on that effort day in and day out to make you the best that you can be. And if you're really focusing on that, you look up one day and you realize, I'm pretty successful here.
Notice how Coach Romar said if you're only thinking about winning, the journey that it takes to get you in a position to win can be missing because you're just looking at the end prize. Take a minute right now and write these down to reflect on the opportunities you missed in life because you were focused on the prize and not the process. Write down, focus on the process, not the prize, and list those missed opportunities. There have to be one or two opportunities you've missed in life. A career opportunity that passed you by, a chance to network with someone who was important, a relationship, family event, anything. What did you miss? Think about it right now. There are so many times in life we get distracted by the end result, our goals, that we don't slow down and participate in the process of getting there. This is a huge mistake, and the pyramid of success can help you realize and overcome it. Because when you think about it, goal accomplishment is just a small moment in time. In the sports world, winning happens at the end of a long game, which happens after a long week of practice, which follows a long and difficult off-season of preparation. Coach Wooden knew that the journey to our goals is where we spend most of our time. And along that journey, you will experience failure and adversity, obstacles and challenge. When you learn to focus on the journey to success, following Coach's advice, you'll find yourself discovering opportunities you would have missed before. You'll enjoy each day, embrace every moment, and find just as much joy in the process of preparing to reach your goals as you do in achieving them. I asked you to list out opportunities you've missed in life, moments that passed you by because you were focused on the prize at the end instead of the process. Think about that list right now. Consider the opportunities you've missed in life as you listen to how Coach Wooden dealt with both goal accomplishment and setbacks.
There's change occurring all the time. There's no progress without change, but contrary to the opinion of some, all change isn't progress, you know. But there is no progress without it, and I've always felt that it's more difficult to get to the top or up near the top than it is to stay there, because you learn so much along the way and so many things that you found out now you can put into play to help you keep there. To get there, you didn't know that. You're learning them as they go. So I think each year I was learning something that helped me in some aspect of the game to be a better coach. I really honestly feel that I was a better coach the last year I coached than I was the year before. But the year before, I think I was a better coach than I was the year before, and so on. I hope I learned each year. I've had people ask, how come it took you 15 years to win your first NCAA? And I said, I'm a slow learner. But you see, once I learn something, I have it down pretty good.
Coach taught, it's what you learn after you know it all that counts. It reminds me to never be too full of myself, never take myself too seriously, and be open to others.
In that pyramid of success, self-control was huge. And if you ever watched Coach in a basketball game, you saw a visual example of self-control. And he said, I would call a timeout with about a minute and a half left. Maybe we were up by 15, 18, 20 points. I get the players around and he'd say, now, I want to congratulate you. You're about to be, again, a national champion. But I called a timeout to remind you who you are. And when this game is over, I don't want you to make a fool out of yourself. Respect the opponents, shake hands with them, tell them they played a good game. Remember who you are. Contain yourself, control yourself. Walk off the court like a champion.
Striving for excellence, and that's something that I know Coach Wooden preached nonstop about, is the pursuit of perfection was one of his things that I loved. We're going to try to pursue perfection and know it's not attainable, but we're still going to strive for it because the pursuit of it is attainable. And I thought that's perfect, because that's exactly what should be my aim in everything in my life, is I am trying to do this perfectly. But if I don't, I'm going to end up a little short, but I'm going to continue to work for it. And that's what separates, I believe, people in all walks of life, is being able to handle those failures and then to keep pushing. Did I personally do everything I could possibly do? And if I did that, I can look in the mirror and I'm going to be okay. If not, I'm going to keep working until I maximize everything I got, and I'm not going to stop.
What a way to win. Think about it. You have that image of victory in your head. What happens after a goal is achieved, a championship won? And here's Wooden, calling a timeout with 90 seconds to go in a game that his team dominated, reminding them to win with character. The lesson here, in victory and failure, is that your emotions can be your own worst enemy. Write that under the victory and adversity questions you just asked yourself. You must temper your emotions. Now let's move on to your failure question. How do I respond to adversity? What did you do the last time you failed? Write down your first thoughts. Think about them as you listen to sportscaster Dick Enberg, who was with Wooden for 8 of his championships, talk about how Coach approached failure.
The climb up the mountain, you have to be intent to climb up that mountain because there's going to be a lot of slips and falls and defeats and challenges as you climb up the mountain. That's true of life. That's true of a basketball coach. And the fall down the mountain is really fast, but you have to be intent to be able to make all the stops to get to the very top, which he, of course, and his team accomplished. Isn't that true in life? That we don't like the tragedies in life or the upsets or the knockdowns in life. But that's where we really say, okay, we have to intently pick ourselves up and move forward, onward and upward, not slip back down the mountain.
Coach Wooden understood fully that life is a series of challenges. When we played for him, we were so young and so on top of everything that the challenges hadn't begun by that point. It was later on in life. But how you respond to challenges, how you respond to failure, how you respond to adversity and difficult times. And so that's what he kept preaching all the time. Because while he was working on the foundation and building you up and developing all those human attributes and personal characteristics embodied in all of the foundational pillars of who you are, he was quickly trying to get to the tools to help you to overcome adversity.
I never wanted excessive jubilation if you outscore somebody in the game, nor did I want excessive dejection if you're outscored. Now, you're not going to feel as good, of course, when you're outscored, but down deep, and you're the only one to know, if you did the things that you should, that were most conducive to your being able to execute and your level of competence, I don't see any reason for being down. I just know.
If you take nothing else away from this collection of remarks on Wooden's life and legacy, remember what you just heard. Learning from Coach and his mentorship is not just about basketball. It's not just about sports and winning championships. It's about creating a championship caliber life. Here's what I mean. At the end of the day, we all have struggles we have to overcome in living the lives we want to live. Challenges we face, obstacles standing in our way, a set of circumstances between where we are and where we want to go. In my life, I've felt these circumstances weigh heavily, as I'm sure you have. But all that changed for me when I met Coach, when I had the opportunity to ask him to become my mentor, and when I learned how to apply his principles, pyramid of success, and ideals to my life and career. One of the mistakes that many of us make in life is that we don't seek out mentors. We don't look to others for help, and we try to overcome the obstacles standing in our way alone. I was fortunate enough to have Coach Wooden as one of my mentors. In 1998, I learned that a famous professional basketball player was studying under Coach Wooden, and he wasn't teaching him basketball. When I was invited to sit down and listen to that player and coach talk with each other, invited to an actual mentoring session with Coach, I took it. I listened intently, learning more in a few minutes directly from the man than I had in hours of studying his life on my own. Then after the session was over, I had to ask Coach, how does someone become mentored by you? His response was 2 words. You ask. I said, well, how many people ask? And he said, not as many as you might think. On that day, Coach Wooden dared me to ask him to become one of his students. And a few weeks later, when I finally built up the courage to call him and ask, he said, I wonder what took you so long. What followed for me was a transformation in the way I approached my life. Instead of continuing to be overwhelmed by the challenges I faced, the goals I had set for myself and the barriers between where I was and where I wanted to be, Coach taught me a new approach. If you think about it, our challenge is that we want to have masterpiece months, masterpiece years, and masterpiece lifetimes. A career we're more than just satisfied with. A legacy we can be proud of. A life worth living. Coach taught me, more than anything, and perhaps this is another note for your journal, that you need to work on making today a masterpiece. Because when you make each day your masterpiece, those masterpiece days turn into better weeks, months, and years. That's how to build a life you're satisfied with. It's how you become a better leader, step by step. It's how you influence others. It's how you build the life you want and attract success.
As we talked about leadership, I became more and more surprised to find that all of my ideas were his. That in fact, though I had been a reluctant student, I'd been a very attentive student, and that everything I learned about leadership, which was how I'd been able to succeed in a business, seems to have nothing to do with basketball. What does television programming have to do with coaching a basketball team? But at the end of the day, everything. It's taking a group of people, giving them a structure, allowing room for creativity, and enough responsibility given to the people on the team that they actually think it's up to them. Well, that's all John Wooden ever did, and I did it too. And so in the time I was at CBS, I had a hit show every year, which in hindsight, and I'm not in the TV business anymore, so I can say this, it's not possible any more than winning 7 championships in a row is possible. He helped me do the impossible.
The impossible is possible when you have Coach Wooden's Pyramid of Success on your side. Everyone who has learned the complete Pyramid of Success has used it in some way to enhance their life. From enjoying the journey to success, the bridge between goal setting and when our goals are accomplished, where we spend most of our time living, to setting goals themselves, overcoming challenges, dealing with loss and winning, leading others, building careers in business. The pyramid has universal applications in our infinite world of possibilities.
Well, I think every coach in America has stolen the pyramid of success in one way, shape, or form, you know, and when you come out of our locker room, we've got the pyramid there.
The pyramid of success is just not about basketball. It's not about sports. It's about life.
These are the building blocks of character, which is the foundation for success and winning, no matter your chosen endeavor.
Working together, teamwork, all of those you've got to have if you're going to be successful.
You will never see on that pyramid anywhere greed. You'll never see anywhere selfishness. That alone tells you what the pyramid is.
You've got to be someone that has leadership skills if you're going to be in charge and be in command. And his pyramid of success is all about that. It's all about taking charge, making decisions, and it becomes contagious to everyone around you, you as that leader of the pack.
It's a great teaching, learning tool because it's common sense. It's really nothing tricky about it. It's the way that really you'd hope the world would run, you know. I mean, it's something that everybody could learn from.
I said, I want to talk to you about the pyramid. And I said, I'm overwhelmed. I don't even know how to start. And he just, in his way, he just kind of smiled and kind of giggled. He's like, well, what you need to know is just pick one. Just start there, just pick one.
When Coach talked about doing your best, he also would always say, make every day a masterpiece. You know, you can't undo anything that happened yesterday. And no matter what happened to you, you got to get up today. All you've got is today. Yesterday's gone, tomorrow is not here yet.
I don't think masterpieces are necessarily perfect,
but I think that people that create masterpieces put 100% effort into what they were doing. And so I think that really just says, make each day your masterpiece. Give what you can give, do what you can do, and make it yours. And it might not be a masterpiece to someone else, but it should be to you.
Do the best you can. You know, look in that mirror before you leave and say, did I do the best I can today? That's all you can do. So you should never, win or lose. You should never feel that you let people down because you did the best you could.
How'd you feel at 6:30 this morning? Were you excited about getting up and attacking the world? You try to win every day. My theory, if you win every day, you win the week. If you win the week, you start winning months. If you start winning the months, it's a heck of a year.
So I encourage people constantly, you can't redo yesterday, and tomorrow hasn't arrived yet. So don't get all fluffed up about it. It's not here yet. You don't know what tomorrow brings, but you do have control over today. And live it to the fullest, max out on today. Or as Coach Wooden's dad taught him, make each day your masterpiece.
He told his players, he told everybody, is that the big goal in life is, are you going to make a difference out there? And are you going to be utilized and become the best you that you can possibly can? Sure, we want to win games, but I want you to develop as a human being. And so he was coaching for not only basketball, but coaching for character.
Doing my best is a choice. And every once in a while you get into, and it happens to all of us, and I'm sure maybe it happened at some point in life to Coach Wooden, that maybe you don't feel your best and something's got you down, and the only thing you can do is do your best that particular day. And what makes one day better than another? Well, it's your attitude. You can control your attitude.
There should be no dead days in our lives. There shouldn't be days where we're not making the most out of them. He made a point to make every hour of his life count at whatever age he was. And I think that's an example we need to live by. This is a gift of life that we have. And every day we should strive to make it our masterpiece, do the best we can, influence people in the right way.
It's possible that you've grown tired of the overhyped talk of so-called success experts. Maybe you've looked at what they've had to offer and realized that you want to seek out a different path, one that could provide greater integrity, greater security, stronger loyalty, more individual self-control. If you're sitting there right now, growing weary and tired of having to chase the next thing and the next thing and the next thing just to stay afloat, if you've fallen into the trap of trying to do too many things, trying to win in business, trying to win in health, trying to win in relationships, and on, and if you're trying to do all these things separately, then this is why it feels like you're being pulled apart. Your focus is being spread too thin. What you need is the holistic approach to success laid out by Coach Wooden in his pyramid. By using these foundational building blocks as laid out in the pyramid, you learn to tackle all the varied aspects of life through focused effort, through simple disciplines, not overcomplicated systems or multi-step programs. Simple efforts applied daily, which lead to fulfilling results that last a lifetime. Remember, it was learning to properly tie a shoe that helped build one of the most powerful basketball dynasties of all time. It's not an exaggeration to say that Coach and his teachings were a pivotal turning point in my life, and they can be in yours if you challenge yourself to master them. With Coach Wooden's wisdom, I discovered, perhaps for the first time, what my true potential really could be, a potential I'm uncovering and expanding even now. And let me say this, once you get a glimpse of what you really truly could become, without having to force yourself to become it, when you can see it so vivid and strong in your mind's eye, it's at that point all confusion about your purpose and direction fades away. I was lucky to have been given the gift of clarity from Coach. It's why I've spent so much time with you here today, to continue his legacy and share that knowledge and wisdom with you. You see, in today's world of over-information, when work consumes our world and pulls us away from the people we love, when the path forward is made confused by the various voices shouting, "My way is the right way," when our focus is derailed by quick clicks of a mouse or unimportant tasks overflowing our calendars, the only way through the mess is to return to timeless foundational teachings that have already influenced and created some of the greatest achievers of the modern age. Instead of focusing on the outcome, which is where most people get it wrong, Coach Wooden helps you focus on the journey, the complete journey. Not just one piece of it, not just one part of the puzzle of life, it's all there. The missing piece that's been absent in your life isn't something to go searching for, it's right here. It's the holistic approach, the whole person approach to success. Remember, at the beginning of this presentation, when I told you that you discover a new way to approach success, well, what did you think? Is this not the complete opposite of what almost everyone else is teaching that you must do? And yet, all you have to do is take a look at the impact and influence that Coach's teachings have had on people all around the globe to get a solid understanding of just how much more powerful the pyramid